Got to call it a day at some point.
If you're doing well in something you don't enjoy, imagine what you could do in something you do enjoy. It's like, look, if your kids picked up your behaviours, would you be proud of it?
So I think if you find stuff that you actually enjoy.
Cool. Right. How have you been in all this time? I haven't seen you, Billy.
Very well, man.
Looking
very well.
looking very smart today.
Thank you. Just come from work on my lunch.
He's actually got his pants on underneath.
Like with the interviews during COVID. Yeah, no, all good. Going on holiday tomorrow, so buzzing for that.
I can't even remember where you said you're going.
Off to the Canary Islands, all inclusive. La Palma. So yeah, looking forward to it. I love all inclusive now. I hadn't been on one before I got with Ree, because obviously the nature of my mongrel family, we all left South Africa and went to different parts of the world. So most of my holidays growing up were going to South Africa, Canada. I've got family in Scotland, Australia, etc. I've got family everywhere. So holidays for us as a family was going to those places to see family. So I'd never really done like an all-inclusive type thing. We went to Greece a couple of times, been to Canary Islands, and I think Canary Islands is where I'll stay now. I want to do all the islands. But all-inclusive, man, did you used to go on them as a kid? It's a very British thing, I feel. I'm German.
I had a similar thing when I was a kid. So I had family that moved out to Cyprus. So I think I went to Cyprus for like 12, 13 years in a row. We would stay in hotels, but we'd also stay with my auntie. Some all-inclusive. I feel like, I've done the all-inclusive trip. But I was young, so I wasn't getting beers.
You were drinking the Cokes. Yeah. No, yeah, all include, mate. The first one I went on, I was thinking. I remember saying to Ree, like, I don't know how I'll actually get on this holiday because I'm going to get bored. I felt like I was going to get bored, because I said to her, like, what do you do during the day? I'll sit by the pool, get drinks. I might read, and I was just thinking, well, I won't read. I'm not a massive fan of sunbathing, like just lying there. Well, I wasn't.
You can tell me.
Sun dodger. I wasn't. I am now. But I thought I was going to get bored, honestly. But, geez, there's just so much to drink, so much to eat, so much sun to be had. Stay in the pool for hours, fight off some Germans for sunbeds. You know,
the crowds.
Yeah, the crowds. That's something like that happened to us one time actually when we were in Cos. Funny story. Me and Ree were just sat there playing cards. Two fucking big, middle-aged, fat German men came over to us and just started shouting at me in German, and I was just like, pal, you can obviously speak English, so use your fucking words and don't come and shout in my face, because you can tell, even though I don't speak German, you can tell, like, it is an aggressive language, I guess, but you can tell, like, slamming on the table, shouting, I can tell you're not saying hello, how are you? Yeah, so I basically said to him, like, fucking back up, use your words, what the fuck, what's your problem? And basically he then tried to, like, grab my table. And that's obviously what he wanted. He wanted our table for some reason. We were sat there playing cards. And he picked up the fucking table and started walking away from him. I fucking pushed him over, took the table back and was like, the fuck you doing? And then his mate come and grabbed me, and we had like handbags. No punches were thrown or nothing, but we were sort of pushing each other. And I was just saying, like, what the fuck are you guys up to, right? They had two wives with them, and their wives started shouting at them and then walked off in utter despair, obviously disgusted with their husband's behaviour. But I still don't know what it was over, so I won. I got the table back. And then I just put the table down, put the cards back on, carried on playing, and they went and found their wives. You get some funny characters at some of these hotels.
Yeah, I suppose that's where everyone comes out in it. But do you know what? That being said, although I'd done it a lot when I was a kid, I'd be in the pool without playing. I can't stand where you just do nothing on holiday. Like I just get too fidgety. I need like a bucket and spade or something, dig a hole in the beach. But when I went on holiday with my ex, like she was very much of that. Like she just loved like sunbathing, reading books and that. I just get so fucking bored. I was like playing in the pool by myself. I actually at one point I went and bought a pair of goggles, like, do you know, snorkel goggles. Didn't get a snorkel as well.
Checking out the ladies under the water.
That's it. It's like, oh, what's that film? Do you know Tarzan when he goes underwater and he pulls that elephant's hair out of it? Yeah. But yeah, there was loads of fish like around in the sea where you could go. So whenever we went down the beach, I'd just go. I was fucking 24. No, how old I would have been? 21. Sorry. 21-year-old bloke playing by myself.
I do that though. I don't even care. Like, real get in the pool. for a bit, but then obviously she then wants to get out, and I just stay in there swimming, chilling. Like when we go down to the beach, I don't think when you're in the sea, you don't really need to be with someone in the sea, because if you're just swimming and letting the waves take you and stuff, you don't need to necessarily be with someone. So if she's sunbathing on the beach, I'll just go in the sea and fucking swim by the waves and stuff. And I just find it fun anyway. And then obviously it's all inclusive. So some of the days during the days we just get pissed. Some days we chill, and I'll never get bored. I thought I really would. Like, I've got ADHD as well. Like, I thought I'd like you be getting fidgety, thinking like, right, I'm bored now. What's fun to do? But we also, the one we went to last year, you could do stuff like archery. So one day we did archery. You can do jet skiing and that sort of thing. So there are things that can keep you busy, but the fucking drink, because at places like that, the alcohol costs less than like the brand Coca-Cola.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why they give you like a fucking half the glass vodka, half the glass Coke, because Coke actually costs more for them to import than your local vodka and your local alcohol. And that's why drinks are always so fucking, what's the word, generous, because it's costing them less to actually give you. Whereas in England, obviously, they're stingy with spirits. It's the opposite there. So you can get just pissed. It's, like I say, with so much food, so much drink. When you're at a place like that as well that has beaches, they'll have evenings in some of the restaurants where it's like fresh stuff they've caught from local harbours, and they've given you that for dinner and stuff. It's nice. So I'm excited, as you can tell.
Yeah, sounds it. You've got your itinerary all printed out.
No itinerary, just go with the flow. But
Very chilled out guy, aren't you?
well, Ree does all of that, but can't wait to be by the pool, cocktail in hand, sun beaming down on my tanned, glistened body.
You should come back. You'll be redder than that bar and
Yeah, I will.
Have you ever turned? Like,
Well, being a South African child, I did actually used to have an olive skin, an olive complexion. I used to have blondish hair. But yeah, no, moving to England ruined me. It's as a kid, if you look at pictures of me as a kid, like I did go brown in the sun, whereas now I just go red.
just trying to turn a nice shade of pink.
Pretty much. But hey ho. What about you? You going on holiday later in the month?
I am. I'm going to Ibiza. Yeah, it's only a 4-day thing.
4-day bender.
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna be an absolute like shell of a man. Come. When do I go? I go next Thursday. So Monday after. Yeah, I can't imagine there's gonna be much of me left. Fucking. So I'm bad for like I go on nights out and I fall asleep like I don't know why. Yeah, I like to use the excuse I work on Saturdays and I'm up early, so I'm tired. But I think
there is something you can have that keeps you from falling asleep.
Yeah, my mate was saying to me, he's like, "Oh, yeah, so on one of these days, it's like there's this day club and then starts at 3, finishes at 12, and then there's this other club from 12 till 7 a.m." I was just like, what? I was like, "You sure? Like, you sure they made a mistake there?" Don't get me wrong, I'll do it, but I think I'm more nervous about that than anything else. It'll be sick, and I'm not like one to poop on the party and that, but I will be flaking hard.
He'll have to get you home, because we have to get you home from a night out at midnight usually, let alone fucking 6 a.m. But because even when we go on all-inclusive holidays, because you drink so much fucking alcohol each night, that's like an all-inclusive, and they shut at like 12, 1. And I still get to the point 3 or 4 days into the holiday where I wake up one day and I'm just like, fuck me. Like, I feel rough. So yeah, Ibiza would be a lot worse.
Are you Are you missing a couple of rugby games?
I'm missing one. We're playing Campion Old Boys this Saturday, so I'm missing that massive game. But then the trouble is as well, the following week I get back on Thursday, so I'm missing training on the Tuesday and Thursday, but I think the coach Jez said he'd put me on the bench, so I'll still get in the old first team hopefully, but just not I probably won't start, which is fine.
Have you been starting lately then?
Yes, I've started. We've had one pre-season game and 2 league games. I've started all of them. So yeah, no, I'm enjoying it though, man. Obviously I had the ACL injury, so I've not actually played in sort of 2.5, 3 years until this season. So yeah, loving being back. I'm fucking missed it so much. Like the first like year after I had the op and stuff, I didn't find that I was sitting there clucking to get back to rugby because I sort of needed a break. I had loads of niggling injuries. Obviously, played at uni for 4 years at such a high standard. It was quite nice to then relax a bit. But yeah, after about a year, if I was watching rugby or anything, I'd just be sitting there thinking, "Fuck me, I miss playing. I'd love to get back to it." And then you can't because you've got to, obviously I had my op during COVID and couldn't get any physio on it for quite a while, so I had to be out for quite a while. But yeah, back to it, loving it.
Yeah, that injury life. I actually, one of my other mates, he'd done, I think it was his meniscus. He might have done his ACL as well, but he had the same thing through COVID and that. He couldn't really get any rehab. Although that being said, he could have done rehab by himself. Just, I think he kept on putting it off. Actually tried to go back and play football again, done it again. I think his knee's fucked now completely. Like, probably can't go back like to return into sport. But yeah, no, to be fair, you was quite good with doing bits, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was about to say I did it on my own. I messaged Noah and asked him to give me exercises that he did when he did it. I think even Dom's brother had done it, and Dom sent me his treatment plan, etc. So I tried to do stuff, but it's not the same. Me just doing exercises I never even got you're meant to have a post-op checkup, like 4 weeks, 6 weeks after your op, to check that it actually worked, and to check that the muscle's actually taken and the muscle's in the correct place and it's attached to the whatever, etc. I never even got that because COVID happened soon after my op, went into a lockdown, and they literally called me and said, "We can't do it." So I was sat there doing rehab exercises in my garden, not knowing if the op had even fucking worked, because if the ligament doesn't take to your bones or wherever they've tried to screw it, it would just come out and I would have just had no ACL. So I was just doing exercises blindly, hopefully the op did work and hopefully this is actually strengthening it. And then I started running when I could. No, I started cycling first, so I started cycling 20 to 30k a few times a week to try and strengthen that knee. I then started running, then started going to the gym and doing proper exercises. And it was only like a year ago when I went down to Wanstead and saw their physio and said, like, "Can you check if the fucking op even worked? Can you check if the exercise I've been doing had helped?" And he did the thing on me, like he pulled my knee in various different places and basically said, "The op is fine, your knee's very strong," made me do some exercises, etc. He just said the only thing you need to strengthen is your hamstring. He said your actual knee's perfect, but obviously when you get that ACL reconstruction done, a lot of the time they cut muscles and ligaments out of your hamstring and thread it through your knee. So they're using muscles from your own body.
It's a graft thing, innit?
And then obviously the knee was fine, but because they've cut muscles away from my hamstring was fucking weak. And he made me do when you pull weight down that way on your leg, what's it called? Hamstring curl. And that was just like weak. When I was doing it, what's the push up? The opposite.
Push-up, leg extension.
Leg extension. Like I'd do that, did a load of other exercises with decent weight, but he said your hamstring's so weak. And he basically said once you strengthen that, you can come back. So that's what I sort of focused on. But I'm glad to be back. But like you just said about your friend, I'm glad it took me a while to get back because it is one of those injuries that if I did it again, I probably wouldn't play again. Because you can't really afford... When I had my first op, I was off work for like a month. Signed off work for a month. You can't really afford as an adult to have a month of work, 6 weeks off work after an op. So if it's something I did again, I'll get the op done again just so that my knee could get better. But I don't think I would then have to stop playing rugby, I think. And so I'm glad I took my time and did things properly to get back. And there's also a big mental element. That's one of the things I wanted to speak about today as well, is obviously when you have a massive injury like that, there's also such a mental element that stops you playing and stops you getting back to that same level. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I've never actually had that severe an injury. I broke my nose once. That's about as far as I've gone. But yeah, with that, it does. Some people it does scare them off if you're not getting the right rehabilitation, things like that. It is, and a lot of the time, I don't know. This is me just like making an assumption about it. I don't know if there's any research behind it, but people are, even if you're fine to play again, they'll go back. You take like maybe not a pro athlete because they're getting like the best rehab available, but someone that's plays a decent standard or whatever standard, goes back but is unsure of their knee or unsure of their ankle or whatever, you kind of go half-hearted, and then that half-heartedness is what ends up doing it again. And then you get it again, and you're like, shit. And I think that is, like you just said, you have to take, if you take time off work, if that's not your full-time occupation, it's one reason I'm actually going to start going playing again. It's just going to be just like right near where I live. Yeah, don't tell people where I live, Phil. Too many stalkers on the internet.
We'll cut that out.
But yeah, it does. It's a huge, especially with my kind of, like, I have a physical job. I need to be on my feet a lot, and it does put you off playing. In the back here, more than likely, I'll be fine. I'm not gonna be playing a sort of standard where I'm probably gonna get like absolutely fucked. But yeah, it does put you off, and it's like shit. If I get injured, but now I suppose you can't live your whole life in fear about. You can't live your whole life saying what if, because you never end up fucking doing anything, would you?
No, I agree. But with an injury like that, I found that I've had injuries before that I've broken my nose, dislocated fingers, etc. Like in my last year of uni, I was literally going into every game with both my thumbs strapped, both my ankles strapped. But never injuries that actually keep you out for an extended period of time. Just niggles that are uncomfortable, but you can play through. And this is my first big one. And I used to take the piss out of people. Like I used to take the piss out of Liam. You remember he used to dislocate his shoulder, and the first time he dislocated it, he spent ages out, like longer than typically what you'd stay out for with a dislocated shoulder. And I remember taking the piss out of him for it, and saying to him, "It's fucking mental. Like it's mental. It's in your head. It's not. Your shoulder is fine." But I did the same thing with my knee. I was out of rugby longer than your typical, and I know COVID and stuff affected that and extended that period, but I still don't think I would have gone back. You can get back to rugby in like 6 months to a year. I would never have done that. And I struggled to play again. Like the first time I started cycling on my knee, I was worried maybe I'm doing it too early. The first time I started going running, I was worried maybe I'm doing it too early, man, I'm going to damage it. I remember speaking to Noah, and he even said, no, mate, me as well. When the first time I went for a run after my op, he said I'd done it far too early, and I realised that and didn't go for a run again for a while. But there is a mental element of being worried about it constantly, and I struggled to get back into rugby because of that. Like I went down over the summer to play touch rugby with Wanstead, thought, okay, this is touch rugby though, it's not contact. Then got nervous for the first time we did contact in training, then got nervous for the first game, and obviously I'm getting my knee strapped at the moment before games, but I probably don't actually need to, because we do contact in training and I don't get my knee strapped at training. We do scrums, live mauls, line-outs. Everything we do in training, I don't get my knee strapped. But for a game, I'm thinking, no, I need my knee strapped because it's a game. And I think it is a mental thing. And I think people struggle to get back to that same place. Like even the fact, one of our coaches, Jez, literally said to me once, I really like this thing you do when someone's charged up off, like I get the ball, someone's charged up off the line, you like take a step back, push them out the way and try and run past them. And I was just thinking in my head, like, I don't think I've ever done that before. Like, yeah, and that was it. I just said to him like, oh yeah, I didn't even realise I was doing that. But I then realised the situation in which I was doing it is if my left leg was in front of my right when the person was coming, it was a case of I was stepping back on my left leg to get that out of the line and then trying to get past the person. I wasn't doing that when my right side of my body was forward. So I think it is tough. And like there's a couple lads at Wanstead who've done ACL injuries as well, and I've said to them, should I get it strapped? And they were just like, no. We did it when we first came back, but it's soon something that you stop because you realise you don't actually need it. No, but I think it is massively mind over matter. In a lot of these situations, like your body is actually fine and your body is capable of doing it. It's more you in your head thinking, oh, I don't want to do that because I might injure myself again. And I wonder if pro athletes get the same.
Yeah, I think you say that, but then you could look at it on the flip side, and people do rush back into sport too early, and then that's obviously like it happens again, and then they don't rehab for long enough. It happens again until you're at a point where, like saying that actually a lot of pro athletes don't have. I think after the first, if you do it again after the first time, reconstruction, maybe a second time, but after a second time, most surgeons now just say don't bother getting it done, just learn to deal without it, because you might just not be able to cut, so like when you change direction, things like that might not be as good, but you're still, because of especially like at a top level, you have to take too long out, and teams will just be like, "Fuck that! Like, I'm not having you out for 6 months to a year. Just strap it up, get the muscle surrounding it, and get like the range of motion stronger, and then we'll just play without it." A lot of people do. There are certain things that you have to get like replaced in that. But yeah, a lot of ACL, most things in your knee, I think, so ACL, MCL, PCL. But then later in life, their bodies are fucked because they've done so much like more through it. But back to my point anyway. That was a bit of a tangent. Yeah, I think it does. It can go the opposite way, and some pro athletes probably are like that as well, because yeah, they'll be told by their physio, right, you need to take this much time out, you need to do like all this rehab and that, and they'll be like, sweet, but they just want to get back to playing, so they could lie to the physio and be like, yeah, no, that feels fine, I'm all right to go play. They do it again, and that's when it gets to the point.
And I think it's different for pro athletes as well. Like playing at an amateur level, you've got to call it a day at some point. Like you can bleep the name, but you know Conor Adey.
Yeah.
The geezer has fucked both knees more than once, whether it's ACL, meniscus, etc. He keeps just getting them operated on and playing rugby again. Like your body is going to be finished by the time you're old. At least if you're a professional rugby player playing in the Premiership or Super Rugby or internationally or whatever, by the time you retire, you've got money. You can live a comfortable life. You can get private healthcare, etc. If you're playing an amateur level of rugby like Nat 3, London 1, London 2, etc. You've got to give it a rest. You can't keep doing it constantly, coming back, getting injured again, and doing that same injury. Whether that's because you're not doing enough rehab, or whether it's because your body's just not right for it anymore. Because after what you were saying about ACL, after you've had it done a couple of times, the likelihood of the op succeeding gets lower and lower. So you've got to just call it a day. It's different for a pro rugby player, like I say, having the money. If you're not getting paid enough to play rugby and it is just a hobby and something you enjoy, I get you don't want to give up on it, but you've got to call it a day at some point, because like you say, even championship rugby players, they earn enough to make a living out of playing rugby, but they're not retiring when they finish playing rugby. They have to work, and their bodies are going to be the same level as fucked as like an England player when they retire, because their bodies are going to be getting battered in the championship every season, but financially they're not going to be anywhere near as financially stable when they retire, and they're going to have to deal with all the same issues.
I suppose that's building a career whilst you're still playing, isn't it? But yeah, I get what you mean in that sense, and you do see it like club rugby. I remember when I first started playing men's rugby, you'd get like, there'd still be like that 40-year-old bloke down there, and he'd be fucked. Like he'd come out look like fucking Michelin Man, because he's got so much strapping and like padding everywhere. And it's just like, mate, come on, like you're not gonna be able to fucking walk. And I think part of it is saying, like, with the mental aspect, people attach their identity to it, and it's like, well, fuck, if I'm not doing this, what am I gonna do? That's where all their mates are. That's all they do. Like that is their social life, and they kind of think, well, I'm not quite old enough to be the geezer that stands there in, when they all wear the the blazers. It's like, I'm not quite old enough to be one of those yet, and they still want to be one of the lads that carries on playing, be in the change rooms and that, and they don't let go of it and kind of disregard what it's doing to them long term. And that's the thing, people, it's that trade-off in it. There's a cost to everything, and people see the short-term gain a lot better than the long-term like suffering.
Suffering.
Well, it's suffering, but I suppose you can apply that to anything in life, can't you? It's like, I don't know, short-term. Like, if you say you got a shitty job you hate, but it pays well, you're getting on all right or whatever, if you was to quit long term, your quality of life's probably going to be a lot better. You pursue something you're actually going to enjoy, things like that. But short term, it means you're going to have to struggle for a little bit, look for another job, go through the process of like getting hired again and that. So people don't look long term. People think, right now, fuck it, I'll just do it because I'm all right.
That's me to a T, to be honest. Like, I work in sales. I don't really enjoy sales. I never have done. Like, when I left uni, it's something I went into because I thought I'd be good at it. It wasn't something that I had been dreaming about doing for the past 5 years. And I don't enjoy working in sales. There's a lot of rejection. Like, you have to be mentally tough, because you speak to 100 people in a day. One of them may be interested, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it whittles down to like 1 or 0. and you get told no a lot, and you spend a lot of your time going through sales processes with people to then tell you no, and you waste a lot of your time. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy calling someone and them saying fuck off, even though they've inquired via our website. Like, this is one of the worst things that gets me. It just infuriates me. People come directly to our website, click schedule a call, put their email address, their name, their phone number, and then have a go at you for calling them. And I just say, sorry, you penciled in. One thing I'm getting at the moment as well is people are thinking they're booking in a certain time, say 2 p.m. US time, but they're actually booking in 2 a.m. and they're getting a call and complaining. And I just think, you fucking did this. But no, that's me though. Sales, like I said, I don't really enjoy it. It's just something I'm good at. I make fucking really good money doing it. And I just think, while I'm young, I'm going to keep doing it, save up enough money for a mortgage, move out, etc., build a bit of savings financially, and then move on to something else. But what you're saying is correct, because yeah, I don't want to do it forever, but the thought of trying to find a new job now, or the thought of moving into a new industry now that I haven't done before, the thought of that puts me off.
Yeah. But then who's to say that in 10 years, that's not going to be the same situation, that you're still thinking, fuck, like, or now I've got a mortgage, now I've got a kid, I better not do it now, and then you put it off for even longer. It's like, there's never the right time, is there? The stars never align.
I'll just make good money forever.
Yeah, but thing is, you say, I was actually speaking about this before, saying like, if you're doing well in something you don't enjoy, imagine what you could do in something you do enjoy. And I think, no, people don't take that opinion, don't take that view, because it's like you said, it's like, I'm doing all right, I get a decent wage, I've got job security, although I don't really think that exists. The pandemic fucking proves that. The fact so many people got laid off in secure jobs. It's like, yeah, doing all right, I've got bills to pay, I can't leave now, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's like, well, fucking, you can. Like, when are you going to do it if you can't do it now?
I agree to an extent. That quote you just said was good as well. What did you just say? If you're doing well, yeah. If you're doing well in something you don't enjoy, imagine how well you do. I agree with something you enjoy. I agree with that to an extent. But doing well in sales equals financial benefit. So the only thing I disagree is, you said, you're doing well in sales, basically. Imagine how much better you'd be doing in something that you actually enjoy. It doesn't quite work like that, because in sales, you do well for a year, you earn a fuckload of money. In something else, you do well for a year, you might get promotion and get a bit more money, or have longer term prospects. Obviously, there are benefits to that. But with something like sales, when you're good at it and when you're doing well, it equals financial benefit constantly. And I do just think, while I'm younger, it is something I'll do to build it up. But then, yeah, like you say, when is that day where you go, right, that's enough now, I'm going to move on to something else? And then let's say I look back 10 years into my career and my whole career is sales based. It's so hard for you then, as an adult in your early 30s, to then move into an entirely new career. So yeah, it is something to ponder on for sure.
That's it. People do it, don't get me wrong. Like, there is never a point, I think I said it last week, like, you can change career paths when you're fucking 50, 40, 50 if you really want to, but there does become more obstacles. It's not necessarily, they might not even be real obstacles, it's just obstacles people create as you go through life. Like, yeah, you get a kid, you get a mortgage, you settle down with a partner, and more things become like. But then I think, look, if you're in that position, do we have many people in that position listening to a podcast? I don't know. But then just instill that other ethos in your kids. Be like, look, just don't fucking settle for things you hate. And because, like you said, yeah, great, you might be earning a bit more money in sales, but then say, I don't know, fucking, you loved archaeology or something, you love digging up dinosaurs. Granted, like, to start off with, you might not earn, actually, I think that's pretty shit.
That's awful you'd be on about.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty shit paying job. But then, right, let's just say, like, you don't enjoy sales, but you enjoy running a team of salesmen. Then you set up your own company, or you try and go into more of direct. And long term, you probably would end up, if it's purely financial, then probably you would end up earning more money long term. And long term, you're going to have a lot more happiness and like fulfillment through your career. My personal opinion, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Everyone has different views on it, but I think, like, you spend far too fucking much of your life. I think I actually read somewhere once is you spend nearly a third of your life working, like actually office hours, sort of thing. Third of your life doing something you don't fucking enjoy does not sound does not sound appealing to me.
Thing is, as well though, it's all good saying, "Oh, go and get a new job, go get a new career." You have to get it though. It's the thing. A lot of people find themselves in industries or jobs that they don't necessarily enjoy. But you can't just go and get your dream job. You can't just go. You apply to 100 jobs in your dream industry or in that. You're not necessarily going to get them just because that's what you want to do. You still have to smash interviews, and in the climate at the moment as well. The job climate's fucked at the moment. After COVID, you saw all those stats about a pub job that went up on LinkedIn, got over 1,000 applicants, etc. The job market at the moment is fucked with so much competition, so many grads who haven't been able to actually get jobs since they left uni. You're competing with people with more experience than you, etc. as well. So it's not just as easy as getting it. I do think sometimes you do have to just deal with it for a bit, carry on doing the job, because having a job is better than not having a job. And then you need the right time to find that dream job, because it will happen eventually. You're not going to not get a job forever. But at the moment, with the job climate as fucked as it is, you might not get one for ages, but it's just about persevering. Like I've been in spots before where I've wanted a new job and I've been applying for jobs, and you just get tired of applying because it's a long process. Say you're interviewing with companies where it's 3-4 stages. That's a lot of time to take out of your days and weeks while you've got a full-time job to then not get that job. And I do think, again, sometimes you just think, oh, fuck this. My job isn't so bad. Once you start looking, you actually think, my life's not so bad here, I'm going to stay. But if you really hate your job that much, I would always say to people, get a new one. Because even if you have to persevere for literal months, you will eventually get that lucky break. You will eventually smash an interview where half the time, if your interviewing manager actually just likes you and thinks you're a decent bloke and you're competent, you can get the job if you strike up a rapport. So it will eventually happen. So if you hate your job that much, I would always say go get a new one. Whereas me, I don't hate my job or hate my company. It's just sales is probably not something I want to do for the rest of my life. But at some point, perhaps I'll make a change.
Yeah. I think what you just said with you get a bit fed up applying for things and that, but then that comes back to the whole like cost of benefit. Yeah, you're a bit tired of applying for jobs now, but long term, are you going to look back and think, fuck me, I'm so glad I gave up applying for jobs and just stuck through with that shitty one, or I'm really glad I kept persevering because I landed that one role. And short term, you're going to have to give up a few more hours, apply for a few more jobs. Long term, you might end up in something you enjoy. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I'm not like fucking, leave your job tomorrow and not earn anything. Yeah, people like you still need to live a life, but actively look and take a few more risks. At the end of the day, although yeah, you say the job market is fucked, I think as long as you can cover your bills, like it doesn't really matter what you're doing. I'm kind of going against myself here, but what you're doing in the interim, say you do leave your job, you go to another job and it really doesn't work out, all that happens is you go back to where you was, not necessarily the same job, but you're back to where you was before. You're not any worse off, rather than just staying in the same thing and thinking, what if? And on another point, I almost think it's if you don't try, you don't fail. People would rather be what's the word I'm looking for? Not complacent. It's like a guaranteed certainty. That's it. People like that certainty. Even though it's shit, they know it's shit and they know what it's going to be like for the rest of their life. Whereas if you do something that could make you happier, but people are like, well, what if it doesn't? Or what if it doesn't? What if it's even worse?
To play devil's advocate, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You would get people that would leave a job or leave a industry or something because they decide they hate it and they think they'll enjoy that better. And you say, if you go across and you decide that it's not for you, you can just come back. But again, things aren't that easy. And you might go to a new industry or a new job or a new company, and then you realise, oh, fuck, this is actually worse. You know, the hours are longer, my boss is a prick, I don't actually enjoy the work that much. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and you then regret taking that decision and moving. And again, you can't then just go, cool, back to that industry it is, because you might not then get another job. And people often, hiring managers look negatively. I don't know why they look negatively on this, but they do. If someone's jumped around a few jobs, they think, they're never say you leave a company, work at another for a few months, realize I hate it, I'm going back to this industry. They'll say like, well, why have you chopped and changed jobs in the last few years? And that can, it shouldn't, but that can go negatively against you. Why I don't think it should is because if another company offers you more money and you're thinking, right, for my career this is better, why should you not take that job? And then if 6 months later you get offered a better one, why should you not take it? Do you know what I mean? You've got to be selfish with these things. But the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And I do agree with what you said there a minute ago as well about people. You get comfortable. You get comfortable. You don't necessarily want to take the risk. You're happy to be comfortable in the job that you know, because it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And that's what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah. And I think as well, that kind of, it comes from, this is another quote, I didn't make this one up. I didn't make the other one up either, to be fair. But it's the fact, I think it's a lot of it is British culture as well. Have you ever heard of tall poppy syndrome? I think it's quite big in Australia, but it's like if you've got, do you know, you get a field of poppies and they're all level or whatever, one starts to grow above the rest, it gets cut down so it looks uniform. And that's, I think, a lot of British culture is like that. You don't stray from the path. Don't try and do anything that's gonna be a little bit risky or could potentially move you forward, because then you're different to everyone else and people don't do different things. And it's that kind of, and then it creates that culture of it's the need to not lose, not the need to win. Which I think the difference between the two is that you do the safe things because it means you're not losing. You get the job in the office. This is my opinion. I'm not saying some people that's what they want to do with the rest of life, and I think that's absolutely fine. Like, you do what you want to do, but a lot of people don't, but will do it anyway. And it's, you do the safe job, you get a mortgage, you have a kid, regardless of whether or not you want to do these things straight away. Not saying ultimately, most people probably do want to do these things. It's how life goes. And then you get married, and then you don't go traveling, or you don't enjoy life because that means you're going to then have to take a few more risks. And this, going back to that, the need to not lose, and not win, is you're never actually winning in life. You're just not winning. You're not losing. Sorry, you're just safe.
Yeah, that happens a lot in sport as well. If you think exactly what you just said, where like, if you're fucking Italy and you're playing against Springboks or the All Blacks, you're not thinking, fuck, let's actually try a win today, let's fucking put it on them. You're thinking, let's not concede more than 4 tries, let's not lose by a certain margin. And it is the same in life. You're thinking, just blend in, do your job, go under the radar, get paid at the end of the month, and don't. I mean, some people do that, don't get me wrong. Some people do take those risks and put themselves out there. But majority of British people, are probably just happy plodding along in their job, month to month, earning their money, saving up for their mortgage, getting married, etc. But I think because the risk involved in taking that leap is you might fall and you might fail, whereas you're not going to fall or fail if you just continue plodding along. I don't actually know where I lie with that, to be honest. I don't know whether I would think it's better to take those risks and it maybe pay off in a normal. Obviously, in something like sport, I would always say, no, fucking go for the win. Definitely, no matter who you are. Leicester won the Premier League, for fuck's sake. Stranger things have happened. But in actual life, say you've got kids and you've got a mortgage and you've got a wife, you've got a family, you've got bills to pay. I don't know if I would encourage someone to, take that leap, man. Set up that fucking business. Do that in case it fails, because that's then going to fuck them and put them a lot further back than it did before. And of course, if it goes well, then that person's going to be laughing and he's going to be, I'm so fucking glad I took that leap. But I don't know, sometimes I think it is too much of a risk with your current situation anyway. If you're living at home with your parents, and you probably can take that risk and say, fuck it, I'm not going to lose anything. But depending on where you are in your life, it might be too much. But hey ho.
Yeah. And I think, that's right. Like I said earlier, if you are at that point in your life where you're like, do you know what? Like, this could completely fuck my family and it's not a risk I want to take, then just install that behaviour in your kids and be like, look, I've done these, learn from my mistakes, if that's your point of view. Learn from my mistakes, don't do this shit. Make sure you're in a position where you can take more risks and don't commit to things too early. Let's make it, like, people don't regret having kids and that, but it's, just try and install better behaviours in your kids, because then your kids might even be in the same situation where they are 50, they've got kids, mortgage, house and that, but they are of that mindset and they know how to make things work in such a way that, yeah, fuck it, let's take another risk. Let's do this because I know I don't have to then worry about losing everything at the same time. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I've always since I've started working, I've been of that opinion. Like if something's not working for me, I'll go do something else. And I suppose it comes from a point of privilege of the fact that I lived with my parents. I didn't have to pay rent. Yeah, that was it. I have to pay for my car and all things like that. But yeah, obviously maybe it's a point of privilege where I didn't have to pay rent. I lived at home with my parents. I only had to pay my way in life. So I could quit jobs, but everything I've done has led to something better. I think it has anyway. It's like now I'm shutting down my PT studio. I'm going back into another gym. But that served its purpose. But now it's not doing anything for me. I'm not happy there anymore. I don't see any future there. I haven't fallen out of love with being a PT. There's actually another thing called, have you ever heard something called sunk cost fallacy?
I mean, perhaps. Usually when you say, have you heard of something, I say no, and then you explain it like the poppy thing, and I go, oh, no, I have actually.
Yeah. These are just like the names of them, what like people coin them, but it's quite common terms. But you heard us saying like it's a sunk cost. Like you're beating a dead horse. There's no point in doing it anymore. So this sunk cost fallacy applies a lot to business, but you can apply it to pretty much any situation in life, I think. But normally it's financial or time. Like you've put too much money and time in it to give up on it now. But it's like, well, no, you haven't. Because at the end of the day, all you're going to do is keep pumping more money and more time in it. And it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to be a miserable fuck. And it's probably end up long term going to have more of a negative benefit than a positive benefit. But a lot of people fall into that trap of that sunk cost.
It's hard to walk away.
Yeah.
If you've invested fucking loads of time, loads of energy, loads of money into a business, it's so difficult to go, like, this isn't working, we're shutting it down. You hope brighter times are about, and you hope that, no, fuck it, it's going to be a tough next 6 months, but we're going to invest money, we're going to do this different, we're going to do that, and it's going to get better. And yeah, in 6 months it might still fail, and then you'll regret spending that time, but it must be very, very hard to walk away from something, I guess, like that. It's the same in a relationship, or a career or whatever it is. It's so hard to walk away from it once you've put so much time in building it up.
Yeah, but then that's where it becomes that sunk cost. There is nothing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like just if it's not working after a month, fuck it off. Things take work, and I think it starts becoming a sunk cost when you can turn around and be like, do you know what? I've put fucking 1,001% into this, and it's just not working.
Over a period of time.
Yeah, like with this, I've been doing this running my own PT studio thing. Granted, I've moved a few times. Nothing down to me. It's just the situation. I've been doing it for nearly 2 years now. 2 years. It's been just over 2 years. And I've now hit a point. It served its purpose. I did put a lot of effort into it. But now I'm just at a point. It's like I said, I don't see any future where I am. And I don't want to commit to opening up a proper gym. It's just not the situation I see myself in at the moment. So if I could quite easily, like at the moment I pay my bills. I have a little bit of spending money. I could quite easily just keep on going because so many people I spoke to as well, mainly like family and some friends and that, they're like, oh, why? I can't believe you're shutting it down. You've put so much into that. You've done this, you've done that. And it's like, yeah, that's your opinion. But my opinion is, why the fuck would I stay there when it is not serving me any sort of purpose anymore?
Why do you think it's failing though? Why are you not happy? Because I wouldn't tell someone, like I've said before, whatever someone wants to do is their thing. And where you say, oh, my family have told me not to do it. I also, when you told me, was just thinking, why would you leave your own studio to go back to a PT at a gym where you're paying rent there anyway? What's the difference between paying rent in your own studio where you've got 20 clients or going to a gym where you're paying rent to the gym and now trying to get new clients as well? To me, it does look like a bit of a step back. If it makes you happier, then fine. But why is it that you actually think, because what you've got right now sounds quite good. Like you've got your own studio, you've got a portfolio of clients that come in for regular sessions, etc. What is actually so negative about it?
It's not my family who's told me don't do it. They are just like, I can't believe you're doing it because you put so much into it, sort of thing. I like a few reasons. I think, A, I'm not really happy there anymore. B, I don't think it is what I expected it to be, in the sense of So to grow the business, I'd have to be taking on other PTs and things like that. And I haven't, where I am, I haven't got the space to do that. I suppose there is a sense of it like I'm lonely. I'm used to like I work quite well when I work around other people. I feel like I do better in that situation. And I go to work unless I'm with a client, I'm on my own, come home, live by myself. It sounds like a bit of a cry for help, doesn't it? But yeah, and it's got to a point. It's like, do you know what, I'm actually really not fucking enjoying this anymore. And I know me personally, I'd probably not the best attitude to have or the best mindset to have, but I know me personally, like it will start to have a big knock on effect on my work because I'm just not in it anymore. And I know keep on staying there, it will just get worse and worse and worse, and eventually it will just fall off completely, and I'll be doing the bare minimum to get by.
Could you not run your schedule though? Like, do you have enough clients where you could? Well, not because you've done it, you made the decision anyway. But could you not have like made it so you have someone for an hour session, the next person's coming in 10, 15 minutes later, so you only ever have a short period of time before your next client comes in, type thing, so that you are in that way always training someone, always speaking to someone, always pretty much with someone.
Yeah, no, I was doing that, and over the past few months, I've had like a few clients leave where they've just come to the end of their thing. Like they don't need me anymore. They got where they want to go. They know what they need to know now. Send them on their way. And yeah, I just didn't try to replace them. And that's when I think, because my head weren't in it, because I was like, I don't see anything going for me here anymore. I'm not really happy. And I tried that because I used to do like I'd say start like 6, 7, and then I'd be working all the way until like 7, 8 at night. And my day would be so broken up.
Sounds like recruitment.
And my day would be so broken up as a result. And then I was like, do you know what? Let's condense this all down. I start early, apart from I do like one evening a week. Start early, finish in the afternoon. All my clients are in a tighter time frame. And then I go home, I get to enjoy my evenings. Maybe I'll go see my mates a little bit more or something like that. That didn't make a difference. So there's not for, obviously that's just one example, but it's not for want of trying. Like I tried different things. I tried to pursue it more, and I put a lot of effort into it, and I'm still in that same frame of mind that I don't want to do this anymore. And that's when it hasn't been an easy decision. I didn't just wake up one day and be like, fuck this.
So what do you think is going to be better at the gym?
Going back to the gym, the fact that I'll be in that environment again. Granted, the thing is with PT, it's quite a lonely industry. I've just fucked that right now. You fucking made me stop eating it. Yeah, it's quite a lonely industry in a sense. It's quite like everyone seems to be out to get each other. I've got friends that are PTs. When you start working with another PT or just bounce ideas off each other, you're not trying to like nick each other's clients or anything like that. Just bounce ideas. It's fucking amazing. Like you get so much further because it's like, oh, do you know what? I've got a client. Let's say you got a client that really struggles to stick to their diet. Oh, I've had a client like that before. This is what I've done. Sweet. I'll try and apply that. Or I've got a client that doesn't do their training when I tell them to do it. Oh, I had a client like that before. And you just pull off everyone else's experiences, but you don't get a lot of that in the PT industry. Sorry, I just gone on another tangent then. What do you think is going to be better about going into the gym? Like I said, I'll be able to bounce off a lot more. The gym I'm actually going to, the gym, Southend, is one of my friends works there. That's how I got the role there. And me and him get along really well. He's one of the people like I can sit there and chat to about it, and your business gets better as a result. The gym environment is as great as my place was. It wasn't amazing. Like it wasn't up to Nick. And as much as my clients didn't care, it bothers me as my brand. I kind of think, I associate my brand with that. And it was a bit of a shithole sometimes. Like in the winter, it was freezing, like fucking freezing cold. Beyond the point of like it's a bit chilly. Like it's actually uncomfortable to be there. And I don't want to long term, like I said, don't see like growing a brand there. So that from that aspect, the gym will be better. And I feel like I like where I didn't enjoy it that much down there. I would literally do my sessions, and the first, say I had an hour gap between sessions. Granted, I live quite close, but I had an hour gap between sessions. I come straight home and then go back for my next session because I just didn't enjoy it down there so much.
And put the heating on.
Yeah, that's it. Fucking under.
I guess for your clients as well with that cold, because they're working out when they're there, they'd be warm, but it'd be you that sat there all day. And what you said a minute ago about having clients leave and stuff and the lonely aspect of it, I imagine no one has a PT for 10 years. it is one of those industries where you PT someone for a while and then they move on, because you're also sort of coaching them and teaching them. It's not just about go and lift that weight. Yeah. People will come to you who have no idea about fitness, no idea about different weight groups, etc. And once you've done, say you work with them for 6 months to a year, they then know, oh, cool. So when I want to work on biceps, I need to do this. When I want to cut weight, I need to do this. When I need to do back exercises, it's this, this, and the other. And once they have that knowledge, aside from you having a PT that actually makes sure they does the work, if they're motivated enough to do it themselves, they don't actually need the PT anymore, because they have retained information that you've gone through with them for 6 months to a year. So I guess you don't really also build up that much long-term relation. I'm sure you have a few clients that you've got long-term relations with, but more often than not, people have PTs for a while, learn it themselves, and then sort of just train themselves.
Yeah, I do think it's like kind of different strokes for different folks, in it is. But I do have, to be fair, most of my clients are very long-term, but I think one of the biggest things when it comes to that is, so I still have someone that writes all my programs for me. Like, I have a coach in essence, and it's more so the accountability side of things. I could quite easily write my own programs. I know exactly what I'm doing in the gym, sort my own diet out, do everything like that. But you have someone doing it for you. It's that accountability, because you know if they don't do it, I'm gonna be like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you doing it?
And when they weigh in,
and all things like that. And it's sometimes, if you can keep that up long term, and obviously you build relationships with people, but yeah, if you can keep that going long term, it makes a huge difference. And although yes, they might not need me to actually work out, it's everything else that goes on to it. Like, health and fitness isn't just going to the gym a couple of times a week and doing a few sets of bicep curls.
That's what I said because you teach them. You're not just teaching them about muscle groups and teaching them how to work out. When you're giving them diet plans, etc., you're showing them something they might have thought was a healthy meal before actually isn't, and you're showing them better things to eat to cut weight, or better things to eat to gain muscle mass, etc., if you're doing meal plans for them. So you teach them a lot. It's obviously not just about showing them how to lift a weight, but I'm saying once they've then learnt that, a lot of people probably do just want to think, well, cool, I can do this myself. If they're motivated to do it, though, obviously, if they're not going to do it, then they're not going to leave a PT, because they know that they'll just sit on their ass and order a Turkish or a Chinese. But if they feel motivated enough to do it on their own, then once you've taught them to that point, there's nothing that stops them just doing it themselves.
I think with motivation though, like I'm not actually a big fan of motivation, in relying on motivation. It's the accountability more so that I'm not the kind of PT that's behind someone fucking like clapping, screaming like, you got this. Shit, I find it's the most cringiest thing ever. But I'll make sure someone does turn up and do the work. And if some people do just need that long term, if you're the kind of person that's, you got a busy, like you're like a professional, let's be like, one-to-one PT is more expensive than any other type of PT. So you tend to get the people that they've got a bit more money and they can afford that expense. So they're busy professionals. They've got like full-time job, normally demands a little bit more from than 9 to 5. Got family, house, everything like that. They know that if I wasn't there, booking that session in with them for them to turn up and do it, or making sure they stick to this, that, and the other, they're not going to do it because life gets in the way. And I know just as much as anyone that your health and fitness is one of the first things that goes when you've got so many other things going on. If it's not ingrained in you like permanently, it's one of the first things that goes, and it just,
you finish work late, you're not going down the gym,
and that's the thing. And just having that one person there to be like, look, just go get your workout in, or I really don't fancy going to do my workout tonight. Cool, don't do a workout, go for a 20-minute walk. Just get something done. And it's very easy to fall back into those old habits of, oh, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Or it's the classic, diet starts Monday.
I disagree, though, with what you said a minute ago about it's not motivation, it's accountability. I think it's both. Accountability is important as well. If you feel guilty at the end of the week because you haven't done your 3 runs where you'd planned to, that's accountability. But you still need motivation. You have to be motivated. If you get home fuck late and you need to go for a run and then cook, you have to be motivated to do that, because if you're not, you can easily not go for the run and not cook and get a takeaway or eat an oven pizza, something more unhealthy. You have to have motivation to be able to get home and go for that run or go to the gym or go grocery shopping to buy healthier food, etc. The accountability is fine, and I think they both work well together. But you still need to be motivated. People come to you and get for a PT when they first sign up with you because they're motivated to do something, not because they're saying, I hope he gives me accountability. They're motivated thinking, right, I want to be more active, I want to do this, and that's the step they've taken due to that motivation. I think both work in tandem, to be honest. It's not always good to only be exercising because you're guilty at the end of the week if you haven't, and you don't, when you face that accountability and you think, right, I've only gone for 2 runs out of 3 when I'd planned to go for 3, I feel a bit guilty, and that's the accountability aspect of it. But if you have the motivation to begin with and you're not actually thinking about the accountability afterwards, you're just motivated to do it, I think that works well as well.
I think that motivation will get you out the door, but it's everything else, like the consistency side of things, building better habits, having someone to keep you accountable. The thing is, just because I'm a coach doesn't, you don't necessarily underselling my services here, but it doesn't need to be a coach. It can be a mate, it can be a partner, it can be your fucking kids. Like, you do it for your kids or whatever. Be like, do you know what? If I don't start doing this shit, they're gonna have an unhealthy parent.
They're going to get bullied at school for having a fat dad.
Yeah, but it's like you can kind of look at it in the same sense. Like, look, if your kids picked up your behaviours, would you be proud of it? Would you be happy that your kid treats their body the way you do, has their relationship with their body, or has a relationship with the food you do? And 9 times out of 10, people would be like, fuck that. You'd have a go at your kid if they started calling themselves a fat fuck all the time and started like refusing to eat carbs after 7 because that's a load of bollocks, by the way. That's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, so like, I do think motivation gets you out the door, but motivation comes in drips and drabs, and use it to its full advantage when it comes, because you'll probably have the best sessions of your life. You'll have like the best weeks in terms of sticking to your diet and that. But there needs to be something you have outside of motivation that's going to keep you to it because when I come home, I don't feel like going training. I've got like no motivation to go do it or whatsoever, but I know I'll go and do it because I've got my plan written for me, or I know long term it's going to benefit me, things like that. And if I miss one day now, then it's like, do I just miss the next day as well? So, but then when I'm motivated, I'm fucking in straight back out, and I do have better sessions as a result.
That's like the same at the moment, obviously, because I'm playing rugby. When I get back from a long day of work, I'm not even feeling that I can't be asked to go training because I enjoy rugby training. But before I started playing rugby again, I used to run a couple of times a week and go to the gym a couple of mornings before work. And the thought of getting home after a day's work and going for a run, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't be fucked. I used to do it, but reluctantly. Like, I used to think I can't be fucked for this. Setting my alarm earlier so that I can go gym before work, because my gym's only across the road from my office. Again, it was that thing of, oh, I can't be fucked for this. Whereas now, because I'm back to playing rugby and I actually enjoy rugby, I get back from a long day's work, I'm excited to go training still. I'm excited to go and play rugby and exercise that comes with it. It's not, I'm ecstatic about going to exercise. It's because you actually enjoy. So I also think if you find something that you actually enjoy, like some people enjoy running. So, do you remember when I used to cycle? Yeah. I really enjoyed cycling. I used to say to you all the time, like, I don't know what it was about cycling, because I've always gone running. I don't enjoy running, but it's something that I do. When I started cycling after my knee thing, I used to say to you, like, I cycled for like 30k. I'd be out for sort of an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes on these long things. And I actually enjoyed it. Like, I wasn't dreading going for a cycle. So I think if you find stuff that you actually enjoy, whether it doesn't need to be sport, it can be something like running, something like cycling that's a bit more solo. But also, if you find what you're saying about the motivation coming in drips and drabs, if you find something you enjoy, the motivation and accountability becomes redundant anyway, because you're thinking, oh, fuck, I'm looking forward to playing rugby later. I'm looking forward to playing football, looking forward to going for my cycle, etc. And that can play a massive part in you actually doing it as well.
Yeah. And that's actually something I didn't say, but yeah, the enjoyment factor of it.
Maybe I'm a better coach.
That's it, mate. You should have called it Bill Summerfield PT. But yeah, that is a massive aspect of it, the enjoyment side of things. And I think that's why a lot of people, not to make this too like fitness orientated, but a lot of people, they enjoy starting to go to the gyms because they spend their whole adult lives exercising as a punishment. Like you said, they feel guilty because they had a fucking Turkish or Chinese or whatever, and then they punish themselves with exercise. And 9 times out of 10, that punishment is going for a run or doing some sort of class that makes you fucking
Spinning.
spin, fucking cycling with the brakes on. How pointless. But then they get into weightlifting, and as a PT, that's what I teach people how to lift weights properly. And they start to enjoy it a lot more because they see a lot more improvements outside of the fact I'm doing this just to fucking kill myself, sort of thing. Like punish my body. You start lifting a bit more weights, or you start getting muscles in areas you didn't really notice you had muscles before.
And they start to then enjoy it, and it's different. It's like that geezer that we've spoken about before, who's your client, that when I'm on the Instagram and see his stories, every time he does a session with you, I'm sure you're watching, shout out. Every time he does a session with you, whether it was at your studio or even he did one today or yesterday at your new gym, every time he does a post about you, my session with Charlie Cannon PT, and he obviously really enjoys it. So he's not waking up in the morning or finishing work and thinking, oh fuck, I've got a session now. That's obviously something he gets excited about going to do. So it's then not a chore.
Yeah.
It's something that you know is fun.
And that enjoyment can come from any aspect. It, like you said, you love going rugby training, but you don't really enjoy the gym too much, do you? But you love going rugby training. For some people, like, it is running, it is cycling, it's swimming. No matter what that enjoyment is, there will be times where you're like the motivation's not there, but if you enjoy it, you'll be like, do you know what? I'll probably feel a little bit better when I do it. Don't get me wrong. If you're at a point like you put one foot in front of the other and you're like, fucking hell, I could just collapse and fall asleep right now, maybe don't do it. Go do it another day. But yeah, there's that enjoyment. Yeah, it does. You don't need to rely on motivation because it's there for you.
And you heard it here first.
Yeah, that was pretty deep. Yeah.
All this talk though about work and work life, obviously for me and Tri it won't really matter because in a few years we'll be making millions off the podcast, so we'll be in a new career anyway.
If anyone wants to sponsor us, by the way, the email address, I think it's actually, I'll put it on the show notes.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Email us.
Reach out to us, Manscaped. But no, cheers to episode 6.
6, yeah.
6.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate it.